The following is a presentation of the Retro Network.
Come on in, sit a spell. We've got stories and jokes to tell. It's gonna be a great Noel. It's the Advent Calendar House. Muppets, Batman, Smurfs, and even Garfield's Halloween. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane. Frosty, Rudolph, and a bunch you've probably never seen. It's Mike and pals that come to entertain. Turn the knob and lift the latch for fun and laughs that can't be matched. And just beware the icy patch. It's the Advent Calendar House.
Welcome to the Advent Calendar House, the podcast that got caught rigging the Secret Santa so many times I had to go back and make sure I didn't already make this joke in the intro of another episode. I think I'm in the clear. So hey, remember that time the Muppets got a talking head style TV series that lasted only one season because not enough people watched it? Guess what? That was 10 years ago now, and I still miss it, and I just so happen to remember that there was a Christmas episode, so join us as we stay up late with Miss Piggy in this 2015 episode of the Muppets. It's single all the way.
Time to get things started.
I am available to beatbox, but I'm not amazing at it, Mike Westfall. And joining me is a woman who lights up my life with an indeterminate amount of volts that make my nose glow. It's Becca Petunia. Hi, Becca.
Hi, Mike. You know, Mike, you make me sing, ooh, la, la, la.
And the most powerful piece on the board in the chess game of life, the prawn. Please welcome JD Hansel. Hello, JD.
Hello, Mike. I'm so glad we finally get to talk on a podcast.
I am so excited.
I feel like we've been in this. Oh, now I feel bad that I didn't have a funny response like Becca, but I feel like we've been in the same sphere for such a long time, enjoying each other's work and thoughts on Muppets and such. And so I'm really, really glad that I get to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both for being here. Well, why don't we get things started with our experiences with this Muppet series, and we will start with you, JD.
So I guess my thought when I saw that you were doing this episode for this podcast was just, so it's come to this. Like, I'm looking at your back catalog and just how many Muppet specials you've covered on this show.
Well, Mike, this has been 10 years, right? This is 10 years of Advent Calendar?
Not of this show, of the Muppets.
Oh, yeah, no. I was trying to figure out how long Advent Calendar is.
No, I started in 2017, so I still have a couple years before I hit 10 years.
So this is less excusable.
Okay, sorry, JD, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it was just relevant context, I thought, for what you were saying.
Thank you, Becca. For right now, Becca, you and I are on the same page. But like, after looking at your back catalog and going, well, he's already switched the Santa Clauses greatly. He's already had the Glorioso Avor Vitae or whatever, fighting the perfect Christmas tree with Mr. Willoughby. You're about out of options if you want to keep going through the Muppet Holiday Special. You've been to Turkey Hollow. Nobody's been to Turkey Hollow, Mike.
Oh, we've been to Turkey Hollow.
So I appreciate what you're doing, but like, the honest truth is, I have fond memories of this series. Like for me, when this came out, I was 19 years old. And it was the first time I got to see any show with these characters actually on television, not just on home video or streaming or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, because I was a baby when Muppets Tonight was on.
Yeah.
So for me, this was a big deal, and it was exciting. It was new. It was a different take on the Muppets, and one that at the time I really welcomed. And I was like doing a podcast about it at the time, like for each and every new episode. And it was amazing to be a part of something that was happening. Much like with the 2011 movie of the same name, over time, I've found looking back on it that I don't have quite the same love and fondness for it that I used to. but it's a defensible show. And
Yeah.
there's still aspects of it that I love. And I'm going to try to fight hard for it today in what ways I can. Without losing sight of the fact that we're also like specifically doing an episode about this one Christmas episode. Because I think for Becca and I probably will both be tempted to just talk about the whole show. And it's going to be hard to stay focused on the topic at hand. So Mike, you've got your work cut out for you.
I do, but also it's also fun to just let people run where they will run. So I don't know how much reeling in I will do, but we'll see. I'll do my best. Becca, what about you?
Oh, I'm only here to talk about Echo Smith.
Nice.
Let's make the joke twice. Okay, we did it twice already. That's 2 Echo Smith jokes. No, so I'm slightly older than JD, but younger than you, Mike. So yeah. I did watch Muppets Tonight when it was airing. I was very young, but I loved Seymour and Pepe a lot. I know that much. But I was thrilled when Muppets 15 was coming out because I started working for a little website called toughpigs.com in 2014, the year before this came out. So I got to really, really have my sort of finger on the pulse of everything about this show and the lead up to this show and all of that. And, you know, I got to see like a press screener of this show, all of these exciting things that were happening to me. A 2015 would have been, how old would I have been? 24-year-old depressed, closeted trans woman living alone in an apartment I hated in New York City.
And no one should be alone at Christmas.
I know.
If we've learned one thing from this episode, it's maybe that.
I learned that you and the moon and Neptune got it right, JD.
That's Patrick.
So what the thing about this show though is, for me, this is so tied to my final year at grad school at Columbia Teachers College. I went to Columbia, a university that has never done anything wrong. And I remember how easy it was to be so excited about this show, not only as someone who was really just diving into the deep end of online Muppets fandom, but also as someone living in the city. Because I remember the first time I was walking to work and I got on the subway and there were Muppets 15 ABC sitcom posters everywhere in the subway station. And I would take photos of myself with the poster with Gonzo on it and with the poster with Kermit on it, because there were all these different posters and they all had great jokes like, finally, full frontal nudity on TV and a picture of Kermit. And I would take photos of myself with these, and I was so excited for this. And I remember watching these every week using my press screener on the day, because I didn't have the correct streaming service. I would watch these every day, every week when they came out. It would be something I would look forward to. One of the few things I looked forward to in a really, really crummy year of my life. I would always get Thai food from the Thai restaurant that was 3 doors over from my apartment, and where they would say, "Oh, it's tofu," whenever I walked in. And I would eat my tofu and watch the Muppets. And of all of the Tough Pigs staff at the time, I was the coolest on Muppets 15.
What do you mean by that? As in, you liked it the least?
I liked it the least.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There was a Tough Pigs roundtable where every Tough Pigs staffer reviewed we was like, what would you give it overall? And I believe I gave the show a B- overall. And that was the lowest of all of the then Tough Pigs writers.
What was Anthony Strand not on the staff?
Anthony Strand was a Tough Pigs writer.
B- is a really high-low.
It is. And you know, one of the things about this show that I genuinely love, and Mike, we'll get into this episode in particular.
Yeah.
But I truly think this is one of the times the Muppets have looked the best.
Yes.
I think the puppetry on this show is phenomenal. I think the way the Muppets are sort of integrated into a real place is some of the best things that they've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of disguised a lot. And I think at the time I was really excited that the Muppets were on TV and it was something I could watch every week while depressed and eating my tofu and going to Columbia, a school that never did anything wrong, and listening to Echo Smith. And one of the things that I found is earlier this year, I was preparing for an episode of the Muppets 70 Years, 70 Muppets podcast that Tough Pigs is doing.
Yeah.
And I had one of the first episodes. I had one of the first episodes. It was on Pops. And then I had one of the early episodes on Yolanda. And at the time, I was really ambitious. And I decided that for the Yolanda episode, I was going to rewatch all of the Muppets 2015 and find every single clip that had Yolanda in it and send those clips to my dear friend Staff Shear. And that meant I had to sit and watch every episode of the Muppets 2015 over again, except for the one Yolanda doesn't appear in. I skipped that one. I did watch them at times 1.5 speed, which I understand messes with the comedy. But also I hated them a lot watching them again this year. And that takes us to Mike's podcast.
All right.
Now back to you, Mike.
Hey, all right. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Wonderful. I remember being very excited about this show and being bummed but not surprised when it didn't get picked up again and ended on a cliffhanger in March?
Yeah.
By March, ABC got tired of this.
Yeah, it was rough. There was a leadership change at ABC at the time that is like sort of spoofed within the show, like surprisingly directly. What happens in the show is that there's like sort of new leadership steps in and there are some changes made kind of. And behind the scenes, there was a genuine shift from comedies at ABC towards, trying to do more serious stuff. But also the ratings for this show were not good. I think that for us as fans, there was something really enthralling about the Muppets finally being allowed to do something that's not cute, that's not for the little kids, like Disney letting the Muppets do something that's got a little bit of edge to clarify that it's primarily for adults and also some kids can watch it. It kind of depends on the parents and it depends on the age of the kids, I guess.
Yeah.
But it felt like a refreshing new take on the characters that was going to allow them to be more of what we had wanted to see, not just kid stuff. And then I think it turned out that wider audiences were actually kind of uncomfortable with that. And also the characters ended up being written differently in ways that didn't always feel like the characters that we knew, which was tough, I think, for both the casual fans and for more serious fans.
Well, I wonder if the show's ratings were a little less about the lack of interest in it and a little bit more about the fact that they aired this in the same time slot as The Voice. They put this up against The Voice. I don't think it stands a chance against a show like The Voice.
Oh, I really thought, am I going to make a joke about wrong-sounding Muppets right now? The voices on the 2015 show sure weren't good enough, but I don't want to do that. No, I'm too mature, right? Please? You can keep that in. I'll live with the shame. Go on, Becca. Please save me.
Okay, so there were two things that I wanted to say. One is more relevant. The other, I did find this article. And JD, you were right, because Anthony did work for Tough Pigs at the time, but Anthony did not contribute to this article.
Oh.
Okay.
At mid-season, I gave it a B minus. Everybody else who was listed, and I can name names because I guess we have some of the same listeners. Ryan Rowe, Joe Hennis, Julia Gaskill, Matt Wilkie, who was writing for us at the time, and Matthew Soberman. Everyone gave it a B plus, except for Ryan Rowe, who gave it a B neutral, and me, who gave it a B minus.
So, Becca, how you feel about it now?
Maybe a C minus.
Okay.
All right.
JD, it's so interesting that you said that it was so refreshing to see the Muppets be a little more adult. Because, today, and this is going to start sounding like a joke, but I do actually have a point here. Today, I've been thinking a lot about the band Echo Smith. And in earlier, no. Hear me out, JD. Hear me out. Earlier in 2015, Echo Smith, first of all, appears in this episode. Yes. In a post-credits stinger where they sing one verse of their song Bright before Gonzo makes a joke about Aerosmith, an unrelated thing.
You make a girl go,
I can't believe we got Aerosmith to play our Christmas party. And Steven Tyler looks fantastic.
No, man, that's not Aerosmith. That's Echo Smith.
They got them to guest star to sing one verse of a song that Gonzo talks over. Anyway.
It's like Echo Smith saw that the crew was packing up and ran into the room at the last possible second.
Hey, you know what? Bars usually have music. Mind if we set up?
And let me be clear. I don't even like Echo Smith. But anyway.
Your point.
Earlier in 2015, in May 2015, the Muppets recorded a YouTube video cashing in on the a cappella YouTube video craze that was such a thing and was already kind of dying in 2015. And what song did they sing but Echo Smith's Cool Kids?
Hey, yeah!
Now, I bring this up because you want to talk about the Muppets being cringy and kiddie. I'm not talking about them singing Echo Smith's Cool Kids, because whatever. There is a part, and JD, I know you feel similarly about this version of Kermit that I do. There is a part during a bridge where Kermit sings to whatever bland YouTube celebrity he's with. Kermit walks over and goes, dialogue during the bridge. A lot of people really worry about being cool. And I've always thought that being cool is about being true to yourself. And for me, being myself it's about being comfortable in your skin. And my skin is green. And this is not a joke. This is what he says. And it's like, if you're so obsessed with the idea that the Muppets need to be about positivity and acceptance and all of these things, then don't sing Echo Smith's Cool Kids. What are you doing? And it truly felt like we were so afloat at this point in time. And the Muppets had to be just sort of this like generally sudsy positive thing.
Yeah.
That it was kind of refreshing to be like, Kermit's going to kind of be a jerk in this show.
Oh, yeah.
Then I think they maybe took it too far in the other direction at times. But I just know that in May 2015, we had Echo Smith's Cool Kids.
And speaking of Christmas, which is what I think I'm supposed to talk about. Not that I've ever cared about that before.
No, you haven't.
No. The main Christmas thing that the Muppets had done at this point was Kermit the Frog singing with a Disney Channel star about how he believes in Santa Claus. That may have been 5-6 years earlier. I can't remember. But it's still that cutesy Kermit.
Oh, sure.
Was still loomed large in our minds. Muppets Most Wanted had some moments that, they allowed some explosions and stuff. But still, the overall feeling that it leaves you with is that moment when the Muppets all say, but what we really wanted, but what we really needed was you, Kermit. And I just go, ooh. I love that movie. But we needed the change of pace. Actually, I think very early on in the episode, we're going to see a perfect example of how this show plays with the cutesy Muppets in an interesting way.
This just in, my spouse just texted me an image of the Echo Smith Christmas album, I guess from the arena where they are currently practicing. So just so you know, Echo Smith had a Christmas album. All right, back to Mike.
I didn't know they had a whole album. I know that they sang I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day.
That's on the album.
That's okay. That's on the album. That's the only Echo Smith Christmas song I've ever heard, and it's a song that I know best from Statler and Waldorf singing one part of it in A Muppet Family Christmas.
I just think it's really amazing that the Muppets have all of this history with Echo Smith and yet still kicked them out of Rock and Roller Coaster to take it for themselves. That's just astonishing. It's so cold.
They had it coming.
Now I don't have a joke for the end, so
that's okay. That's all right. So Single All the Way first aired December 8th, 2015, a Tuesday night on ABC. Yeah, that means it's exactly 10 years ago to the day this episode is going to drop.
Well done, Mike.
I did that on purpose. I didn't have to miss. This was branded as a mid-season finale after showrunner Bob Cushell left the show. So this was the last episode he got a writing credit on, and the first credit for his replacement, Kristen Newman, who's credited as co-executive producer or something like that. So you can kind of feel that change in the guard here before it even officially happened.
This is also the last episode with the better version of the theme song.
Oh, you're right. It is. Oh, and they really did an about face like right after this episode. This is end of Act 1 and beginning of Act 2.
Yeah.
And it feels like it.
And yet I watched this in preparation for this, but just continuously straight into episode 11. And my brother watched it with me. And after we got to the end of episode 11, I told him, this was after a significant break, and supposedly that second episode 11, was the reboot. And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean reboot? What changed? That's literally the same. And I'm like, I can barely argue with you, but it's like slightly more upbeat and clarifies the trajectory of the show regarding Kermit and Piggy a little bit more, but not much more because it's pretty darn clear here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my mind, this was part of the retooling, and I guess it wasn't. But
yeah, it kind of sneaks in.
Yeah, a little bit. It's confusing. I don't know. You were saying this episode, I feel like overall has pretty warm feelings and warm emotions, and does have Kermit turning to the camera pretty early on and being like, the best part of Christmas is being with all my friends. Which is so funny because up to this point on the show, he has not treated any of the other Muppets as his friends.
No, he hasn't.
Are we in the first scene of the episode now? Because that's the first scene of the episode.
Are
we doing the thing?
All right, folks, if you want to watch this, it's on Disney Plus. It's episode 10. And I will recommend watching the whole series if you want to understand what's going on. Just because we are getting dropped into some ongoing plot stuff almost immediately. But
imagine, if you will, being a big fan of the Muppets who knows the rest of their work but didn't watch this series and then just jumps into this episode and is like, Sam the Eagle is doing what? Why? How?
Who's this new character, Ken?
Yes.
Oh, Ken. So the first thing we see is the crew of Up Late with Miss Piggy decorating the set for a big Christmas special. And I do love this set, but Kermit says their Christmas special goes live in an hour, and it looks like they've barely started.
I didn't even notice that.
But this is just we're dealing with, last year I was on to talk about Babes in Toyland.
Oh, yeah, you were.
And it's that same thing.
Why, Becca?
I asked nicely and she agreed.
JD, are you familiar with Cincinnati?
Only vaguely.
Okay, well, you should watch Babes in Toyland to find out more. But we talked about this thing that happens in all of these Christmas movies, specials, whatever, where they wait until like the last possible minute to do everything.
Yeah.
Like all of these people are going out Christmas shopping late at night on Christmas Eve. So many people. And it's like,
Yeah.
why? I guess the urgency helps with scripting, but it also is like, guys, we know that that's not how TV production works, right? Like, you take more than an hour to set things up.
Yeah, I could barely get myself ready for anything in an hour.
But this is also the Muppets, right? This is the Muppets Take Manhattan, where they don't have a star of the show right before the show starts. And it's the Muppet Show where they don't have a sense of what's going to happen in the middle of the show in the middle of the show when it's already started.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're old pros at this.
This is why the Muppets and Christmas go together.
That's right.
Because they both believe in this nonsense approach to preparation.
Yeah. Of course, we have our usual healthy dose of mild chaos on anything the Muppets touch, and we pan over to Animal covered in tinsel.
Tinsel, tinsel, ah ha ha ha, Christmas in my belly.
Christmas in his belly. I feel the need to advise anyone listening that you probably do not want that sort of Christmas in you or your animal's belly.
I was about to say, I get so neurotic about tinsel at Christmas because of animals. I get so neurotic.
That's why my parents stopped putting tinsel on the tree.
So anyway, Animal is probably going to have to go to the vet.
Yeah. We don't hear from Animal again after this. He's fine. We see him. He's cool. But that is Animal's contribution to this episode.
I like that Kermit, going back to what we said before, Kermit starts to talk to us like Milquetoast Kermit about how great it is that he gets to do the Christmas show with his friends.
Yeah.
And then immediately gets cut off as electric lights burn his skin.
Right.
As it should be. This is, if you've got to present Kermit this way, then this is what you got to do. The second that he starts going into friend mode, like, oh, hey, I just love all my friends, Fozzie the bear and Miss Piggy the pig and Gonzo the great, and, oh, I just love spending so much time with Animal and Floyd and Crazy Harry and Angus McGonagall and Fufu the dog. And electric lights on the skin, burn, fry. Now...
I'm not going to go into too much detail, but Mike and everybody listening at home, you need to know that a couple days ago was the big Henson's birthday event at the Museum of the Moving Image. And I think all of what JD and I did together, whenever JD and I were near each other, was these dueling Milquetoast Kermit impressions.
Oh.
I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. Because there's some things that I would not like to say on a podcast.
Understood.
But we spent a lot of time just going, I love my friends.
I would love to go to that sometime, but the problem I have with these Jim Henson's birthday events is that they keep scheduling them on or around Jim Henson's birthday, which is my birthday, so I can never go to them.
Oh, see, I think you just have to move your birthday party to the museum. I think
you
got to call them and work it out.
I wish I knew that those events existed when I lived a little closer to New York, but
that's true. You live pretty far.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Kermit loves his friends, but there is this funny bit, and I have to say, this scene, to jump ahead a little bit to Bunsen and Beaker entering and Bunsen being like, I was clearing out Beaky's sinuses when I found the perfect Rudolph. And Beaker's nose lights up red.
I was trying to clear Beaker's sinuses when, lo and behold, I stumbled upon a Rudolph for a reindeer sketch.
But, Bunsen, we don't have a reindeer sketch in the show.
Oh. Well, then it will just be for our holiday enjoyment. Right, Beaky?
Animal eating the tinsel the thing with Sweetums dropping all the Christmas lights on Kermit, Bunsen and Beaker here, I really appreciated the return to this level of slapstick. And if there's one thing that I was glad about this sort of second part of the Muppets 2015, it was that.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot less of that in the earlier episodes, of like animal eating random things, of things dropping and falling on characters' head, of there was a little bit of that in the first episode. Bunsen does tase Beaker to make a loud noise. But I think the return to this kind of slapstick is almost a little more called for than the return to the Muppets are always friends and always love each other.
Yeah, this makes it seem more like the Muppets in their natural habitat. My only complaint about all of this is that Kermit switched to LED lights, man. So many people still swear by these older incandescent bulbs that can burn a frog's skin, but because they have a warmer glow to them. But you can do that with LED lights, too. It's not hard.
This has been a Christmas message from Mike Westfall.
That's all I got. I want to call out how much of a detailed festive touch they put into every frame of this almost. Beaker's wearing a candy cane striped tie, and I appreciated that. Even Bunsen, he's wearing his usual red necktie and green vest under his lab coat, but it even felt like the vest was a bolder, brighter green here.
Do we think there's any chance, Mike? Any chance that that's a little bit of wishful thinking on your part? That this
it's absolutely wishful thinking. I'm sure it's just like no, he just happens to be next to Beaker in the candy cane tie, and it was just like maybe it's me.
Because just comparing this special to the festiveness of Muppet Family Christmas or Muppet Christmas Carol, we're a few notches down.
Oh, well, sure, but it's all background scene. Speaking of the background, Beauregard shows up in the background. Doesn't have any lines, but I don't think he had a single speaking line in this whole series, now that I'm thinking about it.
He doesn't.
So. Oh, boy. But he's just there so folks like us can point at it.
Crazy Harry's in this episode, too. We could point at him.
We sure can. Doesn't blow up anything, but he sings a little bit. Yeah, Bunsen said he discovered the Beaker's nose glowing bit while he was trying to clear Beaker's sinuses. And I just imagined them at home, Bunsen hooking him up to something to get Beaky to breathe right again. And amid his partner's meeps of agony, wait a minute, I've got an idea.
Sounds about right.
That's absolutely how it goes. And we know that this is the show that absolutely canonized the idea that Bunsen and Beaker absolutely have a thing going on outside of work.
Yeah, I guess that isn't as readily apparent unless you read into it yourself.
Which was, of course, the first article I wrote for Tough Pigs in 2014.
Beautiful. What next? We get Fozzie as Santa Claus here. He's attempting to entertain some child actors who are appearing on the show. I like the look of Fozzie as Santa. I'm not sure if it's a vibe I personally connect with or just greatly appreciate, but either way, I think he looks fantastic.
But does he sell the part, Mike?
No, not at all. Especially today, he's having a very emotional day. He's breaking down in tears because, as Scooter informs Kermit, his girlfriend Becky broke up with him that morning.
Sorry, kids. Santa's too sad to do the show tonight. Instead, he's gonna try to figure out what the last 3 months of his life meant.
Would you guys believe that I named myself after Fozzie's girlfriend, Becky?
Did you really?
No, I didn't.
Like, that doesn't sound like the story I remember. I don't think I even remember you telling me a story, but I don't think it was that.
It's fine. I'm not getting sidetracked to that.
Nope,
but no.
Fine.
This was the weirdest runner on the entire show, was Fozzie's girlfriend, Becky. And of all of the plots, this was weirdly the one that was most consistent. My problem, the whole thing was like, it's funny if Fozzie is dating a human woman named Becky.
Yes.
Who's played by the other one.
Ricky Lindholm of Garfunkel and Oates.
Thank you. Who's played by like the other one, like she's a Teen Girl Squad character. the thing is, like, I guess that's funny, but I felt like there was never anything funny to this relationship beyond, once you get past, wouldn't it be funny if Fozzie was dating a human? There's nothing that funny about this relationship.
No, they kind of blew through all the jokes in that first episode where she takes Fozzie to meet her parents.
But then it becomes story stuff. Then it becomes a question of, let's suppose that Fozzie Bear has to have an existence outside of telling jokes and being Kermit's best friend. Because we've seen how other Muppet productions have tried to handle it when Fozzie couldn't just be telling jokes and couldn't just be Kermit's best friend. It's not great, gang.
No.
Going all the way back to him camping with John Denver. Usually they don't have an idea for Fozzie's personality at that point, except he sure is one clueless bear, and it's painful. It's agony.
JD, do you like football?
No, where are you going with this?
Because Fozzie loves football, and he thinks a wasp's nest is a football in Rocky Mountain Holiday with John Denver.
Thank you. I tried so hard to forget it. You've brought it back to my attention. Mike, would you ever cover that as a holiday special because holiday is in the title?
I thought about it once as an April Fool's Day episode.
That would be funny to lure people in with that title.
Oh, there's still time, but
you've still got like 4 or 5 Elmo specials to cover.
I sure do. Yeah.
I want to be here when you cover the time travel, not the time travel one.
We did that one.
We did that one. I want to cover the one where we do flashbacks to the 1800s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so the thing is, again, like JD is suggesting, the show really, they think they know what they want to do with Fozzie. And Fozzie shows up in so many plots. But JD is right. Fozzie doesn't necessarily work outside of 2 very specific contexts. And you'd think both of those very specific contexts would be very fruitful. Him supporting Kermit in more plots would be fruitful. I don't really understand Fozzie and Ricky Lindholm's relationship, even though they're in like 1/3 of the episodes.
I think the value of that is, if you want to do what this show is asking you to do, that I'm very willing to do, which is buy into the idea of the Muppets as people who have lives and have to figure out how to actually live, then there is something to be said for, here's Fozzie who only knows how to be a comedian. What is it like when he tries to have a relationship with a human being? Like, not even just necessarily a romantic relationship, but truly to have just a real friendship with someone who's not Kermit. How does that even work? I think that's really interesting story development. However, you say this is the most consistent plot in the show, or at least among them, and yet when they finally get to the big breakup episode, she's not even in it.
She's not.
They can't even get her to show up.
No, she doesn't even show up again. We never see Ricky Lindholm again in this series. Fozzie mentions her in one other episode, and that's it. Nope, not going to spoil that. But yeah.
All of this work in this episode to be like, you know what, Fozzie? It can work. And then written out.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. And I feel like it was one of the big hooks to get people to watch this. It's an Office-style talking head comedy. You had Kermit and Piggy break up, and they're still talking about that because no one knows how to interview a Muppet anymore, or if they ever did. And then you had Fozzie and a human in a serious relationship. And I feel like, well, we see Kermit and Piggy flirting with people all the time, and we didn't think much of it because it's a joke. It's witty banter. But Fozzie Bear dating a human just feels unexpectedly odd when it should, and that was the hook that they were going with. And this is the point of the show where we see them actively go, never mind, y'all, and then nope. I do love Scooter's follow-up here talking to Kermit.
Becky broke up with him this morning.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Yeah, I know. She breaks up with a great guy like Fozzie, and yet my mother is still with Ken. Cut your nails, Ken. You're not a Spanish guitar player.
I'm so proud of Ken. for somehow surviving this show, because Ken is mentioned again in at least one of the live stage shows after this. Scooter doesn't let this go after this sitcom. And I appreciate that very much.
Am I the only person in the world who does not enjoy the Scooter talks about Ken jokes?
Almost certainly not. It's completely understandable for someone to hate those jokes. They're kind of nothing.
I think this is one of the better ones because...
Really? Go on.
I feel like I get frustrated at the ones that... I guess because this one feels quicker. I don't even have a deep insight into it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe this one works because it's in and out.
I just know that I don't like the Ken jokes and I guess it's just that really becomes Scooter's whole personality in this show is hates his mom's boyfriend, which I think we can do better. And there are episodes where they do better. I genuinely like the one where Scooter has to run the show when Kermit is gone.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the time his whole, like, he shows up in an episode to make a joke about Ken and then vanishes from the rest of the episode. Like this one.
Becca, you and I really should have recorded a podcast episode about the sitcom as a whole first. Because we clearly just have a lot to talk about the show as a whole.
Okay, so maybe we put a pin in that, and JD, you and I will just talk for like 4 or 5 hours about Scooter's father-in-law to be.
Yeah, great.
I mean, stepfather to be, not father-in-law to be. Jeez, and then
we'll do it.
And then, yeah, so let's get back to this Christmas episode. Mike?
Okay.
Yeah, what's Yolanda up to, for example?
Yeah, next we can't have a workplace Christmas episode without a Secret Santa. In this case, Sweetums is Secret Santa to Yolanda the Rat, who, this is kind of a breakout episode for Yolanda as a character in her entire history, I feel like.
I think she'd already broken out by this point. This is maybe the first dedicated Yolanda plot line.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But she already has consistently some of the funniest lines in the first 9 episodes. This is absolutely, and I talked about this, as I said, on the Muppets 70 podcast with my friend Staff Shear. I feel like Yolanda, we talk a lot about how Uncle Deadly was sort of best served by this show.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yolanda is the number 2 on that list. And I think the Yolanda stuff, for a character that has done so little before this, one line in Muppets Take Manhattan, a Viewmaster video game that is unplayable, or is basically unplayable today. Someone's restored it, but let me put it this way. You don't want to go through the effort of playing it.
Muppet Classic Theater.
Muppet Classic Theater. I was just about to say that. And this.
And, of course, our favorite Muppet production, The Muppets Kitchen with Cat Cora.
Oh, I keep forgetting about The Muppets Kitchen with Cat Cora.
Good for you. I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist anywhere on the internet. I think it's lost media, ?
Wow.
Anyway, I love Yolanda on this show. I think this plot line, I feel like, is right at the intersection. And JD, I'm talking a little bit about the show as a whole. But this plot line, I feel like, is in a dangerously weird intersection between The Muppets 15 is a cynical show about people who hate each other, and The Muppets 15 is a show about all of Kermit's great friends. Because I talk about this a little on the Muppet 70 podcast. Yolanda sets up this scheme so that everybody has her as their Secret Santa. We're going to see that. It's not just Sweetums. Every Muppet has Yolanda as their Secret Santa.
Last year, my name got left out of Secret Santa. So this year, I volunteered to organize it. So I could make sure my name was in the hat. On every slip of paper. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
And the Muppets find out that she did this cruel thing.
Yep.
And they're all like, Yolanda deserves all of the presents in the world.
We skipped her last year. She deserves this. It's real. Everything about this plot is weird. Just think about her plan for a second. She's Kermit's assistant. There's going to be a lot of traffic going by her desk anyway, and now she wants to have everyone in the office stop by her desk without seeing each other. And it kind of works? She gets everything she wants?
Yeah.
With that plan?
My problem is not that Yolanda is being a jerk here, because that's Yolanda's character, and that stems from some of the same places as Rizzo, with the kind of like, conniving New Yorker vibe that they both have. And I can say that because I'm from here.
It's everyone else being a dang weirdo. That's the trouble.
I went to Columbia, again, and nothing bad ever happened at Columbia. But like, it's everyone's reaction. Just, it feels like they got a note halfway through writing this plot that the Muppets are friends again. And they were like, oh crap, we had Yolanda being mean. Let's have everybody love that Yolanda was mean.
It's precisely that moment that Bob leaves the show and Kristen steps into that room. Like it is right then when the door swings open and closes with another person having walked in.
We found the exact point. Well done.
Because it just doesn't really feel like cause and effect, and it also doesn't really feel funny. Like, it could be funny if it was like, wow, that was not how I expected this to happen. I mean, I would want to punch up on that so it doesn't sound quite like, well, that just happened. But the point is, like, a writer's room could have punched that idea up. I don't get it. One thing that I will say, and I've mentioned this repeatedly, I love... For whatever reason, I'm cursed to love Pepe the King Prawn. And it is my curse. I think a childhood fascination with Muppets Tonight did it to me.
That'll do it.
But I really like that Pepe is so dumb about all of the obvious clues in this. Like, Yolanda, he finds out that both he and Rizzo have Yolanda, and he's like, I bet Rizzo is lying to me because Rizzo has me. And then at the end, when everybody spells it out and Pepe is like,
okay, I think everyone here knows exactly what happened. So please tell me because I'm totally lost.
It's, I don't know. I laugh at both of those Pepe moments in this.
I think they're good. And I think they're good because of the futility of it. That's the only thing that's really enjoyable about this storyline, apart from the terrific performance as Yolanda.
Yes.
Is the fact that each and every step is an exercise in futility, in the nonsense of things, in the uselessness of things, in which Yolanda comes up with the worst possible plan. And then Pepe has the worst possible interpretation of what's going on. Yes. And then all of the Muppet friends have the worst possible reaction to that by giving her all of their presents. And then she has the worst possible response by going like, I actually had a great childhood. I didn't need this.
Yes,
and do you have gift receipts?
Yeah.
Like, everything about it is wrong, and it still works out in the end. And the character who did something wrong is rewarded. Like, yeah, like, I think it is a combination of cynicism and sweetness that is wrong, but I do think it's in a way that's pretty fun. It's not great, but it's pretty fun.
But I think Pepe is the funniest part of it.
Yes.
Because Pepe doesn't understand this.
Right. No. The least necessary part of the story, given the fact that, again, everyone's walking to her desk.
Yes, it's like, it's such an obvious scheme.
Pepe's completely superfluous to the storyline, and yet is the key to making it funny. Last notes on this early Yolanda stuff is as Yolanda is explaining her terrible plot, there's a giant fork behind her that I'm pretty sure is supposed to be the fork in the road from the Muppet movie.
It's supposed to be, but it's not.
It's not in the road.
Right.
The joke doesn't work if it's not on the road.
And two,
It's way too small
to be that fork in the road. It's still a big fork. It's a big fork, but it's also behind Yolanda, so maybe that's why it looks big. But
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, no, that fork, the fork in the background of this has 5 tines instead of 4, so you know it's different.
Wow.
Also, it's smaller. I need to be clear that the fork in the road is bigger than a car in the Muppet movie.
I like how I thought I had noticed this detail in the background that
I noticed
it
too.
And it turns out that both of you noticed details about it that I didn't. Okay.
That's why there are 3 of us.
Yeah. When Bunsen comes to Yolanda and says, "Guess who's your Secret Santa?" Yolanda replies,
"You, Dr. Honeydew? What a surprise."
And Bunsen just goes like this weird squeal of a noise that's so funny.
It is weird.
And last point here. When Sweetums comes in, gives her his gift.
Yes.
It's a hair straightening iron.
Yeah.
And he says that he got one for himself, and he basically becomes an ad for the product. Like, why pay salon prices? And he's showing off his hair. And I'm thinking about this joke here about big hairy guy is interested in beauty all of a sudden and wondering, do we need to have a Becca's Gender Studies Corner? Or do you want to skip it this time, Becca? I just wanted to give you that opportunity if you feel like we have to do something about whatever the heck they just did with Sweetums.
Oh, there was something that I wanted to do a Becca's Gender Studies Corner on in this episode, and I just forgot what it was.
Okay, we'll probably get to it later. I have a feeling we'll get to something later.
Yeah, my understanding is that we're an hour in and have 90% of the episode ahead of us.
That's fine. We covered a lot of the Yolanda plot, which is great because you covered all of my notes that I had for it. The only other notes I had for this was, one, the funny part about the whole Sweetums bit is that only one patch of hair in the back of his head is straightened.
Right, yeah.
Listen, I feel like the show is, maybe we could interpret this as a kind of insensitive joke, but I do think it is just really funny. I like Sweetums' advertising delivery here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I got one for myself too, see?
Ooh, fancy.
15 minutes. Why pay salon prices?
Oh, you are so thoughtful, Sweetums.
And I do think it's funny because Sweetums is Sweetums. I don't know. Put a pin in it. If we got time, I'll do a bonus gender studies course on Sweetums.
Wonderful.
Becca, when you and I do our 5-hour podcast episode on this whole
sitcom, we'll do a
we'll cover it.
Oh, I can't wait.
We'll do a gender studies episode. As if I'm not writing enough of those for my other podcast.
And then we get to this episode's C plot, and C is for cringe. Because it's Sam the Eagle trying to strategically hang mistletoe to get a kiss from Janice. This is an ongoing plot point throughout the series for some reason, and Sam has an unrequited crush on Janice, and it leans toward creepy for laughs. Talking's hard, pals.
Yeah, I've in the past, I have glibly called Sam the Eagle a creep for the way that he handled Janice in this. And, you know, I'll do it again. What a creep. But also, I think that Sam here says mistletoe is a seasonally appropriate way to jumpstart my relationship with Janice. It's interesting that he just doesn't really have a plan except to use the outdated but widely accepted until a decade or two or so ago traditional conventions. Like, you think about his backup plan is wait until March and use Kiss Me, I'm Irish.
Right.
It's very manipulative, but it also comes from the fact that he doesn't know what to do, and he's like, well, this is propriety. Like, this is the proper way that it's done. It's convention, it's tradition, and so I guess this is what you're supposed to do. I guess this works. Doesn't actually start a relationship, doesn't help you know the person. Pretty much every single thing about this plan is wrong. But I get how they got here from Sam's personality, in as much as any of this can be considered at all consistent with Sam's personality.
There's a lot that I dislike about this plot, and JD, we'll talk more about this on our podcast.
Yeah.
But I feel like part of the problem is it kind of reduces Janice to an object.
Mm-hmm.
But an object, and she's treated that way throughout the show by characters other than Sam.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, it's also reducing Sam.
Yes!
Because it feels like this is all Sam does on the show, or like 90% of what he does is pine for Janice. And like, that's sacrificing other potential Sam jokes and Sam ideas and Sam moments.
Such as?
What if he had a paintball themed minigame?
Okay, but like you recognize, I think, that on the Muppet Show, Sam the Eagle shows up to be like, oh, well, this is very improper, or he shows up to be like, oh, good, a British guest, this is very proper, and then the British guest sticks a cookie in his mouth to make a beak and go blah 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 blah, and then he's all disappointed. Like he's got a very limited range on this show. Sam does this kind of the same thing where he's the censor and he's holding the show to a standard of propriety, but he's also conflicted by the fact that he has a crush on someone with whom he can never be in a relationship because they're completely incompatible people. That's a complication of the character that adds like layers and a little bit of internal contradiction, but in a way that I think is still very human and very funny. Well, kind of funny.
That's what I was about to say, is like, you describing it earlier, the situation. There's something that is, and you're going to hate me for this, but I can say this. There's something that is kind of cute about Sam struggling with this relationship. The question is just, how is it handled? And I do not think the show handles it right.
No.
Yeah. No.
But I think there's something very relatable about Sam wanting this, but not knowing what to do. The question is, there's no real resolution to it. And the resolution, if anything, rewards Sam's bad behavior.
Yeah.
And I know this is not a show for small children. This isn't like when I do Prairie Dawn Companion and I'm like, well, what is this teaching kids about throwing lassos around people's necks?
Yeah.
What is this teaching adults? Not good things. Infatuation makes you do weird stuff.
But I do think there's a way they could have threaded this needle if they were interested in threading this needle.
Yeah.
But it requires A, treating Janice as more of a character and less of an object.
Right.
And B, it requires a certain more depth and nuance than they were willing to portray. So instead, you just get Sam being a creep. And you have what could be a more nuanced character trait that just isn't, because it never builds or goes anywhere.
No, and he doesn't even struggle with things that I feel like are un-Sam-like to begin with. Sam doesn't seem to be the sort to be cool with public displays of affection as a result of standing under mistletoe. So that threw me off as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what if he tried to learn some of Janice's interests? And there was like an episode where Sam goes to a rock concert and really enjoys going to a rock concert.
Right.
And we have to grapple with that. And Sam realizes that, like, maybe he can't be with Janice, but he learned something else about himself and it helped him grow as a person. Or maybe he could have a paintball themed minigame.
I think what the series needed to do to wrap up this storyline in a way that felt like it was worth it, in a way that felt justified, in a way that made sense and actually made Sam the Eagle a much more nuanced and robust and even a more lovable character, is have him perform the song Jungle Boogie. If he got drunk and danced around to Jungle Boogie, then that would make sense and be good. Yeah.
Well, JD, I have another question for you, and then we do need to move on. But I had always thought that the right way to approach romance was to sprinkle stardust on someone's pillowcase, because that's like a moonbeam brushed across my face. And nights are good, and that's the way it should be. Like, that feels like what he should have done, because that makes a girl go, ooh.
I'm so happy with the directions this is going in. I'm just so delighted by all of this.
This is what happens when you get we get JD and I together.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Does it? I feel like you and I have never gone this far off the rails.
I don't know. I feel like this is what we do sometimes when we hang out in person, though.
Listen, this podcast has never had rails. I don't know who anyone's kidding.
Which we haven't hung out in person that often.
Right, I was going to say, when have we hung out in person? We should.
At the Henson events, I just feel like, again, anyway.
But we never have time at those. This is for the other show.
Anyway.
Next, are we at the bit with the Swedish chef that I like?
We're at the bit with the Swedish chef.
Yeah!
Who's busy making gingerbread houses and gumdrop trees for the set, and Fozzie asks,
"Oh, chef. You've been married for such a long time. If your wife left you, do you think you could live without her?"
And the first time I watched this was the first time I realized, oh, the Swedish chef has a wedding ring.
Yep, he's had it, I think, the whole time? Or at least for as long as...
Not the whole time.
So he's had it since around... It was a couple years earlier, during the Bill Beretta, Steve Whitmire Swedish Chef era.
Yes.
Was it still recent then? Really?
Yes. So there was one time that Steve Whitmire forgot to take off his wedding ring when performing The Chef's Hands. And they kept it in when they realized, because they decided it was a funny new angle for the Swedish Chef.
Yes.
So this is 100% post Christmas Carol. This was definitely the sort of quote unquote modern era of the Muppets, and Swedish Chef is barely in Muppets Tonight, so it must have been some point in the late 90s.
Muppet Wiki told me 2006, as early as 2006, so even later than that, this happened where Steve forgot to take off his ring, and they just decided they couldn't reshoot whatever they were filming, and so they just decided, well, Chef wears a ring now.
And consistently, he's worn a ring since 2006.
To the point where there are figures and plushes of the Swedish Chef also wearing a wedding ring.
Okay, so 2006, you said?
As early as is the way that Muppet Wiki words that.
So he's had this on since I was only 10 years old. So basically, it's been the whole time.
Yeah.
From the beginning. It's it's been from the start. He's always had the ring. I was right.
Sure.
Yep.
And JD, you've always been the groundskeeper.
Becca, I can't. I don't know how to work with that joke at this hour. I love that the chef is in the foreground of the scene, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Picks up one of the cookies, licks it, just puts it all over his mouth, and then sets it right back on the table, pats it on the head, leaves it there for the next person. I don't think it's the first time in the series that they made that joke with the chef, but it's really good.
It is. And now Kermit calls over Fozzie and asks what happened with Becky, and Fozzie pours his heart out to him. Apparently, they were having a conversation about whose parents they were going to spend Christmas with, and Fozzie replied,
"I said I always wanted to meet Jerry Seinfeld's parents. Let's go there."
Oh, that's pretty funny.
I know, but then she said I never take anything seriously.
Oh.
Which I thought was a great joke. And even Kermit thought so. But Becky didn't. She complained Fozzie never takes anything seriously, but he decided to break the tension by continuing to be silly and making a face, and that was the last straw for Becky, and we never see her again.
Despite the fact that supposedly the point of the episode is that they eventually are able to make some progress.
Right.
It's rough.
But anyway, Fozzie says that Kermit can't give him advice because Kermit doesn't understand this, because Kermit was the one who dumped Piggy.
Yeah, Kermit tries to tell him he knows exactly what he's going through, and starts talking about when Piggy and I broke up, and Fozzie stops him to remind him, well, you're the one who broke up with her, so you don't know what I'm going through. And he's right.
He doesn't mean it in a harsh way.
No.
No, it's just that he doesn't understand how potentially rude, certainly how blunt he's being. He's just a pretty sincere, earnest bear. which I think puts Kermit in a really interesting position here and does something interesting with their relationship while still keeping them in character that I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a more intense, dramatic Muppet moment in a way than we're used to, sort of, because of how, blunt it is about this, but not in a way that feels melodramatic or, too sappy or too reality TV for the Muppets or to whatever. Like, it just kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of liked Blunt Fozzie here. And
he's going to come back.
He sure is, yeah. And that first joke about Jerry Seinfeld's parents, laughter is Fozzie's defense mechanism when things get difficult. I recognize that because it's also mine. The difference is that I've learned how to turn it off. Maybe not always when to turn it off, but I know how to. I think I've been told enough times growing up to shut up, you're annoying, so I've learned the hard way, okay, time to turn this off. And Fozzie hasn't learned that yet.
This podcast would suggest that it's like my coping mechanism for something. But that would require any of the jokes I've told to be funny. So
now listen.
But that's not true for Fozzie Bear. So I don't know. So my initial reaction to this plotline for Fozzie was, did these writers really think Fozzie Bear needed to learn a lesson in perseverance? Because that is kind of what it ends with is, well, Fozzie, you should have just, try it again. Like, you gave up really quickly. You got to fight for what you want. And it's like, Fozzie needs to learn to get back on the horse and try again after rejection. Fozzie Bear didn't consider that possibility. Right. That's kind of his whole character. But then looking at it again, because of course I watched this episode multiple times to prepare for this podcast. You're very, very welcome, Mike Westfall.
Thank you so much.
I listened to the song Bright by Echo Smith multiple times to prepare for this podcast. So
I'm glad someone did.
Becca, you're the true hero here, and we all know it. Stop virtue signaling about what a great guest you are for listening to all that Echo Smith.
And Echo Smith's glad someone did.
But
okay, I use ad blocker. I don't know if they got any credit.
Well, hey, look, someone played our song. Nope.
Looking back, I think this scene does show you, oh, right, it's really that Fozzie, he perseveres because he kind of only knows how to try this one thing. He only knows how to try to resolve a situation by being funny. And to kind of put him in that situation that feels like it's sort of the point of this whole storyline for him of, well, what do you do when just being a funny, silly bear is not enough and you have to just answer real basic questions? I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice step forward for Fozzie. I think it's another one of those things that I probably like more in theory than in practice. And it might be more of a I like what they were trying to do thing. But there's something really satisfying. After years and years and years of the way these characters were written, being paper thin, just Miss Piggy's going to show up and karate chop Kermit, say hi-ya after some kissy-kissy, mwah-mwah-mwah. Fozzie Bear's going to come in and say waka-waka, and Gonzo's going to suggest that literally anything would be better if it involved tapioca pudding. There's something really refreshing about a show just being like, seems like Fozzie Bear is a very limited character in that he's only got his two things. Wouldn't it be interesting to just let that be the basis for an actual conflict about an actual character and let that have some depth? And I think it's cool. I respect what they're doing.
Yeah. Big fan of Blunt Fozzie, who runs away whimpering here after he realizes, no, Kermit's not going to be able to help him out. Kermit calls after him. Well, now who's going to play Santa? And we get a volunteer in Up Late's receptionist, Big Mean Carl.
Well, I can play Santa. I'm filled with holiday cheer.
You know who else was well served by this show?
Big Mean Carl. Oh, man.
He's certainly featured a lot in it, I'll say that.
J.D. Hansel.
I mean, does the world need more Big Mean Carl?
J.D. Hansel.
I think so. I need more Big Mean Carl.
Okay.
We're going to get some more later. For now,
fine.
We're interrupted by Scooter, who informs Kermit there's an urgent problem with their special's big guest, Mindy Kaling. You know, of the Mindy Project.
We've finally made it to the Q plot of this episode.
Yeah, for real.
There are so many plots.
It's so many.
What about Andy and Randy Pig, JD?
At a certain point, I did start counting the plots, and I'm like, wait a second. I understand this having an A plot, B plot, C plot, of course. It has a D. It also has an E plot. What are you doing?
For the two people who are listening and don't know Mindy Kaling by her name, she was Kelly Kapoor on The Office. She is phenomenal here, practicing a duet with Miss Piggy, singing It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, and singing terribly off-key. Like so off-key that the members of the band are shivering.
It's the happiest season of all.
Sounds like a cat drowning another cat, and neither one of them can sing.
That's a good line too.
It's a good line. It feels like it maybe should have been a Statler and Waldorf bit.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a Floyd line, but that's another thing.
It's close enough.
Anyway, the point is, Mindy Kaling is doing some interesting stuff in this. Mike, you're saying she's phenomenal. I don't know if I would have used the word phenomenal. Because when I say the word phenomenal, these weird pink creatures appear next. Anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I don't know if I would say the word phenomenal for another reason. That is, I'm not sure that this is good. But
maybe I'm just impressed.
She is doing something interesting because Mindy Kaling is playing a character who is Mindy Kaling, but is a character who is the most self-obsessed celebrity in the world.
Yes.
And there's something funny about that in theory, just like how Sam having a crush on someone could be funny in theory, that I'm not confident is funny in practice. And JD, you're making a face that makes me think you thought that this was phenomenal.
Not phenomenal. I'm somewhere in between you two, where I think that she's pretty funny. Like I am, or at the very least charming. Like I like that.
Oh no, that's how I feel too.
Okay, it's tricky because her story in some ways seems like it should be a Miss Piggy storyline.
Yeah.
If not for the fact that Eric Jacobson's Miss Piggy can actually really sing in a way that Frank Oz's Piggy sometimes could, but usually couldn't. And so for Eric's Piggy, you couldn't quite do this, but nevertheless, you do have this sense of, well, now this character's come in who's like very self-absorbed and can't take criticism. But in her case, it's because she's too chill and it just rolls right off. Like, her bubble doesn't have to be maintained. There is no Uncle Deadly figure required for this version of Mindy Kaling. She's just fine. Wherever she goes, she's in this little la la land where she just hears people calling her name and saying, we love you, no matter whether or not it's real. Maybe it is real. Like, part of me does think that she genuinely gets nothing but, in this universe, in the universe the show's created, she genuinely gets nothing but flattery all the time. I kind of believe her a little bit. In any case, I think it's really fun.
So we were thinking, Mindy, Christmas songs are so overdone. I mean, when you go shopping, what do you hear?
Like, Mindy, we love you. We're obsessed with you.
Yeah, no, I meant like over the speakers.
Oh, okay, like, aisle 3, is that Mindy Kaling? We're obsessed with you. You're a hero. You're our best friend. That happened to me at Target twice.
Yeah, I love the idea that, I don't know if it's everyone's afraid to tell Mindy Kaling that she can't sing, or that no one gets around to telling Mindy Kaling that she can't sing because she's too positive on herself.
And she never blows up. That's part of what I like about this, is it never gets to the point where she has the Miss Piggy moment of, what? How dare you? Like, the whole time she is just in Mindy Kaling world.
Hey, you guys are kind of selling me on Mindy Kaling.
Great. And I feel the need to add, Mindy Kaling in real life can sing. We've heard her sing on The Office.
Yeah.
Having a talent for singing is one thing. What she's doing here, playing a version of herself who's singing off key and not being aware she's doing so, is a whole different level of acting that I really appreciated. And that's where my use of phenomenal comes in. It was just like, I was very impressed by just how natural that all came off. Because then I had to think back. I'm like, can Mindy Kaling sing? I feel like we've heard her sing. Oh, we have.
I'm very impressed by the performance from the Electric Mayhem, who managed to, playing those real rock band instruments, make fake jazz band sounds that sound like virtual instruments in Pro Tools. I don't know how they did that. They're just really, really, really good at their jobs.
Years of talent. I do like Scooter's excuse here.
Scooter, you told me she could sing.
I said she could sing, not that she could sing well. Like, I can beatbox, but I'm not amazing at it. Whoa, that was my best one ever.
Oh, boy.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hi there, Pizza Hut. Yes, I'd like to order a pizza with
Sausage! Oh, Kermit! Pepperoni! Pepperoni!
Cheese!
I need pepperoni on mine!
Ends a pizza fight forever with the amazing new 4-for-all pizza from Pizza Hut. 4 different pizzas topped just the way you like them on a not too thick, not too thin crust. Just $11.99. Gather round the good stuff.
Want something green with your pizza?
Add a family-size Fresh Express Ranch Salad Kit for $2.99 to any pizza purchase.
Coming soon to a pair of ears near your brain. An exciting new achievement in podcasting. It's colossal. It's stupendous. It's cartoons.
Hello, all you happy people.
Hi, I'm JD from toughpigs.com, and I'd like to invite you to join me on my exploration of classic cartoons. It's called Stick to Shorts, because that's what I'm doing. Each episode is devoted to one of the animated shorts from Hollywood's golden age.
This is an animated cartoon.
These are the cartoons that gave us Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, and countless other stars from acclaimed directors like Chuck Jones, Tex Avery, and Bob Clampett, and game-changing producers like Max Fleischer and Walt Disney. I'll be chatting with friends about the context of these shorts, where they sit in animation history, and sometimes there might be some academic film criticism thrown in there. Mostly, though, it's fun conversation about silly things, and it sounds a little something like this.
This network doesn't know what it is yet. It's
Yes.
the WB, and we know that WB is at the start of Looney Tunes. Who's going to be the mascot? Bugs Bunny? No. Daffy Duck? Definitely not. You don't want him as your... So you end up with Michigan J. Frog, who's just a mascot in his own cartoon.
But here's the thing. In his own cartoon, he's not a mascot. He's the worst thing that ever happened to a man.
That's true.
That's the point of Michigan J. Frog, is
That's
what he
true.
brings is being incarcerated in a psych hospital.
That is true.
And they've got him out here going, WWWWB.
Yeah, you just gotta watch the Wayans Bros.
Whether you're getting into the cartoon canon for the first time or rewatching some old favorites, this podcast promises nothing. I have no idea if it will be of any value to you, but I am trying so hard. So give Stick to Shorts a listen, because if you don't...
You're despicable.
So which plot do we return to next, Westfall?
And with 45 minutes left before showtime, Kermit's panicking now, not only about this, but also because Fozzie won't go on as Santa, and their opening act is now a disaster, but Scooter claims to have the perfect solution for the opening act. And we cut to Big Mean Carl again, dressed in an old-timey nightgown and cap, and reciting 'Twas the Night Before Christmas by candlelight.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse, because I told him to shut up!
It's good. It's good. It's funny.
Yeah.
I would call Big Mean Carl in this phenomenal.
There you go. I don't know why that got the biggest laugh out of me in this episode, but it did, to the point where my wife was in the room while I was taking notes, and she's like, "You're okay?"
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, next we cut to Piggy and Uncle Deadly. Love Uncle Deadly in this, who's helping Piggy pick an ugly Christmas sweater to wear to George Clooney's ugly Christmas sweater party.
Yeah, the Piggy and Deadly mirror bit is really good, where they're like synchronized as their heads are turning in the mirror, looking at Piggy in the sweater.
Well, the sweater's definitely ugly. But is it ugly enough to wear to George Clooney's ugly Christmas sweater party?
Trust me, Piggly. I'll make it ugly enough to wear to the party, but apparently not ugly enough to be your +1.
Very funny, but further evidence that the best moments in this show are usually more about the performances than the material they are given.
Yes.
It's a little bit of a Sesame Street problem, I must admit.
Oh no, now you're opening up a can of worms. You can't say
Can worms
It's
everywhere.
not that part.
You can't say Sesame Street in front of me. But anyway, what I was going to say is, JD, when we do our 5-hour podcast about this and also the Echo Smith discography, I would love to talk to you about Deadly, because I think Deadly potentially unlocks like a whole, like dozens and dozens and hundreds of plot lines and ideas for Miss Piggy that truly were absent in the early days of the Muppets. That I really love the invention of Deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why you were such a big fan of Muppets Now, right? Speaking of Muppets Now, I think another Muppet now enters this scene.
Yeah, this is where Kermit comes in to deal with a crisis about Piggy's nails, she said, and she shows him her hands and she's still wearing her gloves.
This is funny.
Kermit explains he's already dealing with Fozzie being too upset to do the show because he and his girlfriend broke up, causing Uncle Deadly to interject, "Gah, women." And then Piggy turns to him, just snaps her neck over to him, and he goes, "Gah, men."
He's such a turncoat.
He's a people pleaser.
He is. And yet he's also so himself.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a good character. It's such a perfect character. And again, it unlocks so many new angles for Piggy as well.
Yeah.
Piggy asks Kermit, "Why don't you just talk to Fozzie?" And Kermit explains he tried and he doesn't understand because... And then he stops himself and awkwardly but truthfully, "Good on you," continues, "because I've never been broken up with." And Piggy doesn't miss a beat. And like, "Oh, you should try it. It's a real hoot."
Yeah, I really love the way that Piggy is played in scenes like this, where, again, she doesn't completely blow up and just karate chop him. She actually has to be a person in a scene that's part of a narrative.
Yeah,
and just has a reaction that is funny, but also expresses her feelings and works for the character, and it's good.
Yeah, she does that, especially when you have to see that person's green face at work every day in deadly deadpans to Kermit.
She's talking about you.
Yeah, I know. I put that together.
He's a good man, Uncle Deadly.
Sure is. But Piggy offers to talk to Fozzie in the spirit of Christmas to help yet another poor soul. What a hero. And here's where Scooter comes in to let Kermit know Mindy Kaling's waiting for him in the writer's room. Scooter's got his own wacky Christmas sweater with working lights, and I actually really like that sweater. His mom made it for him, and he wears it so well.
You just love those LED Christmas lights so much. You keep coming back to that, Mike.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the lights. I don't know. It's got an Argyle pattern on the sleeves. I like the sweater. Like, I want it for me. Unfortunately, Piggy also wants it. And this leads to the most unfortunate joke in the episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom made it for me for Christmas.
Take it off.
Oh, okay. If this is what it takes to get ahead in show business.
Somehow beating the Sam plotline in this?
Right.
Shockingly, but you're right.
Yeah. The good news is Scooter's got another shirt underneath the sweater, so it's only mostly tasteless.
It's pretty tasteless.
Yeah. But speaking of mostly tasteless, let's check back in on Sam, who hasn't moved from under the mistletoe waiting for Janice. This is where he comes face to face with Chip, the IT guy. And if you've never seen Chip, he's the IT guy. And his pupils blink.
Yep. That's his other thing.
I love that his pupils blink.
Yes.
I love Chip's design. I agree with everything JD said about Chip on the Muppet 70 podcast.
Yes.
Oh, I don't even do that, but okay, sure, Becca.
But I don't agree with Chip's design being unappealing. I love him. So in this, Chip basically intercepts Sam getting to talk to Janice, and Chip starts talking to Sam a lot.
Yes.
Keep it moving, son. Keep
Do
it
you
moving.
sometimes see numbers as colors?
What?
I do. For example, 4 is blue. I realized I had this talent when I was yellow and a half years old.
JD, you've said so much about this. And you mentioned on the podcast that this is one of the Chip things that you didn't hate.
Did I? Oh, I think I had complicated feelings about it.
Okay.
I had complicated thought. A lot happens, and some of it I raise an eyebrow at, and some of it over in the time since I recorded that episode, I've thought a little bit more about Chip's role in this whole plot line, and I like it less.
Okay, because he starts by offering Sam a sour cream and onion Pringle.
All right, here we go.
Oh, he's got a bag of Pringles.
All right, Mike, one for you. Say ah. Shaped like your tongue. Here
Oh,
you go.
beautiful. Yes, it's shaped like the human tongue, he tells us. And then he goes...
Chip?
No, I'm good. I can't eat chips. I'm really watching my calorie intake. I just wish there was a way I could get that sour cream and onion flavor without the calories.
Well...
But Becca, haven't you heard?
Haven't I heard about what? About a hair straightener?
The sour cream and onion Pringle is shaped like the human tongue. So you put it on your tongue, you suck off all of the flavor with none of the calories. Why pay those salon prices?
And then you can just throw out the rest of the chip.
So, Mike, why don't you quickly summarize this? And folks should listen to the Muppet 70 podcast for JD's comments on this that he no longer agrees with.
Yeah, Chip just wants to talk to someone. He wants to have these conversations about sometimes he sees numbers as colors. That's why we start podcasts, right? To have these conversations?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't even have guests all the time on my podcast, so it is...
But you let out your feelings very well on them. That's a real ability called synesthesia, a talent Chip discovered when he was yellow and a half years old, which is a wonderful joke.
That made me laugh. Made me laugh.
My favorite example of this in pop culture is Futurama. Fry has demonstrated this on multiple occasions, including asking, "What smells like blue?" But right as Sam tries to get Chip to move along and finally asks, "What in the world are you talking about?" that's when Janice just walks right in between them. "Excuse me." And Sam has missed his moment.
I'll circle back to this when we get to the end of the episode.
Okay.
In time for Christmas.
Beautiful. Yeah, now let's catch up with Kermit trying to talk to Mindy Kaling out of singing by lying. Christmas songs are so overdone. And I love he tries to elaborate by asking, like, when you go shopping, what do you hear? And Mindy answers that she hears people shouting, "Mindy, we love you. We're obsessed with you." That's when I realized right here is that what we said earlier, this version of Mindy Kaling is human Miss Piggy.
I would say more about this, but I don't want to repeat myself. I actually was the guest on an episode of 70 or 70 Muppets about Mindy Kaling.
Were you? Oh, dear.
I'm going to hold back.
All right.
JD, you're not allowed to spoil that the final Muppet, because we're so close to the end of the year right now, the final Muppet is Mindy Kaling.
Becca, I didn't spoil that. You just did. I've been telling everyone it was Clifford to throw them off.
Is Mindy Kaling my other homie made of foamy?
Mike, what else happens in the episode? You have to stop us.
Well, because Kermit knows how to work with the Miss Piggy type, he compliments Mindy on how funny she is and offers a comedy sketch for the show. Unfortunately, this comedy sketch is being pitched by Gonzo. It's like The Bachelorette, except to make it festive, it's the Bachelor Elves. 20 hot, tiny guys fighting for Mindy's love, and Rizzo and Pepe are the examples.
You know who's worst served by the show, The Muppets 2015?
Who's that?
For a vast majority of it, it's Gonzo.
100%.
Because every time Gonzo shows up, I'm ready to be bored at best and disgusted at worst. Now, I will say I did cry at the episode Going Gonzo when I watched it for the first time, but I was depressed, as we discussed. I was depressed, closeted. Columbia, nothing bad, tofu. We did it. We did it. But Gonzo is nothing Gonzo writes is funny in any sense of a way as a writer on this show.
No.
None of Gonzo's plot lines are funny. It's a mess. The Bachelor Elves is a problem in a number of reasons. First of all, it's not funny.
No.
By gosh, is it painfully unfunny. Holy like this is the Bachelor Elves is one of the top moments where, as a defender of this show, I feel the need to just leave the room. I can't dare show this sketch to someone and try to defend the show. It's so unfunny.
every time the show tries to do a sketch, they're always pop culture related, but not even in a way that makes it seem like they understand the pop culture that they're parodying. It's literally like they saw a word written down and they're like, this is a pop culture reference. Bachelorette. You guys know that. I mean, I don't watch The Bachelorette.
Yeah, no.
I'm not that kind of messy girl, but there's nothing like specific about this. And the joke about it being bachelor elves doesn't work at all because they don't do anything notably elf themed.
No.
To the extent Pepe refers to himself as an elf whenever he pops up. Rizzo still refers to himself as a rat when he pops up. He's like, I'm a sailor rat. And I'm like, no, you're an elf. Right. It only works if you're an elf.
I don't think it even works then. Like, I feel like that's, it feels like that's his resistance.
JD, that's the bare minimum, is you need to commit to the fact that they're elves.
That's the whole thing. They could have gotten Muppet elves to make this joke work even a little bit, but they just have the two short characters.
They should have brought in the Elvises for the Bachelor Elvises.
They should have.
No, they shouldn't have. Don't listen to me.
The Bachelor Elvises.
The Bachelor Elvises.
Now it's not about Christmas at all. Never mind. I can't punch this up.
It's fine. No, it'll be
it
fine.
It only deserves to be punched.
It's layers. It's layers.
Speaking of punches.
Yeah, the funniest part of this whole scene was Pepe, because Pepe and Rizzo are going through costume changes, being the different kinds of wacky characters you see on The Bachelorette, and now he's your elf personal trainer, and he flexes his little elf hat and his fake muscle suit with 4 arms because he's a king prawn, and Rizzo makes the joke, for the first time in your life, you don't look like such a shrimp, and Pepe just punches him, and the scene's over.
And he punches him like with super strength, even though he's just wearing
a suit. Yeah. All right, so now we have Piggy showing Fozzie exactly what he needs to get over his breakup.
A hug. No, will you stop with the hugs already? I'm talking about stuff.
A whole bunch of stuff, but it's like very random stuff. Did either of y'all pause to look at Piggy's stuff collection, or just me? No, just
tell me
me.
about the stuff.
No, I was still mad about the Bachelor Elves.
Understood. It looks like a round of items on The Price is Right, and she and Deadly go through it all just like that. It's a silly little bit. There's a neck massager from Dream Rub.
There's no place for tense muscles to hide. From Dream Rub.
They made a little logo for Dream Rub and everything. It's not a real company. Dream Rub, the ocean breeze soap of neck massagers.
But Mike.
Yes?
Have you tried Dream Rub?
No, I haven't. See, I'm terrible at
It's all of the flavor with none of the calories. Why pay salon prices?
Well, I'll give it a try now.
And JD, it makes a girl go, ooh.
We finally made it to the fireworks factory. And behind the stuff they named, it's just a pair of binoculars, an iron, a travel pillow, an electric toothbrush, a soda stream. I don't know what the little robot's supposed to be, but it looks cool. It's a Sky Mall catalog, which, now that I'm thinking about it, is very Miss Piggy.
This is kind of the thing that you need to have, I guess, in a lot of Christmas specials. You would know this better than I would. This is your expertise. Where at some point, we have to be introduced to the idea that getting lots of stuff is going to fill your life with meaning so that can be refuted. But here it's done in a way that isn't like, Christmas isn't really about the presents. Like, there's none of that in this. And yet you get just that taste of, but what if stuff?
Yeah. Oh, they could have made this Christmassy, and they didn't even do that. It was all about trying to get Fozzie to get over Becky. And it doesn't work.
They made it game showy. That's the surprising thing. But by making it game showy, Piggy is able to sort of be, a performer and full of herself, and the sort of, I don't know, showgirl being like, ta-da, look at the stuff.
Sure.
I think the consumerism element here, if that's what we're going to call this, or just the stuff element, is it feels like sort of the best option we have for a way for Piggy to try to cheer up another character while still feeling kind of true to her character, who doesn't do that. Like, Piggy's pretty shallow generally and doesn't know how to have meaningful connections with others. So I imagine shopping is one of her few comforts in life. And so I think that this kind of makes sense. And I also think it's kind of fun.
I usually hate Miss Piggy on this show. I think this episode, I did not hate her.
No, and here's kind of where she turns around, because she tells him,
If you still care about her, fight to get her back. Let her know you're willing to work on things.
But if that's all it takes, how come you and Kermit never got back together? I'm sure you fought for him.
And this is where Deadly informs us can of worms, Fozzie.
Yep.
Piggy plays it off like, it was complicated. It involved my career and celebrity and where I am, which Fozzie points out is alone. This is where I kind of wrote down, I really enjoy blunt Fozzie here.
Now, what's great about this is that Piggy's whole deal, especially in this series, is that she needs to maintain a surface level illusion of perfection.
Yeah.
And other people are always going to be poking holes in that. Usually, the characters who poke those holes are being kind of mean. But Fozzie is notably, distinctly sincere. And sincerity is kind of Miss Piggy's kryptonite in a way. And Fozzie brings enough of it by innocently calling attention to the hard truth that he actually breaks through the layers and layers and layers of her personality that she's made to protect herself and can actually get to her heart, and she has a breakthrough. I want you two, Mike, Becca, and listeners at home, everyone close your eyes. And here in the middle of imagination, I want you to try to think of who's the main character in the Muppet franchise. Who do you picture as the main number one character? It's probably Kermit the Frog, right? Second main character in Disney's The Muppets franchise. Here, this might be a little bit more debatable, but who do you see? Mike, who do you see?
I mean, I go with Piggy.
Becca?
A big mean Carl?
Try again?
No, I mean, it's Piggy.
Okay. Number 3. Who's the third main character in the arguably 50-ish year running or arguably 70-ish year running franchise, The Muppets? Who's the third? Mike, who did you see?
I see Fozzie as the third.
Becca?
Gonzo.
Fair. However, I think we all agree that in the big four, like it's Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, or Kermit, Fozzie, Piggy, Gonzo, or some arrangement of those 4 characters. They're the main Muppets. Okay. How is it that in all this time, you can't think of any other examples of Piggy and Fozzie having a conversation? This is it. These characters, you can open your eyes. Everybody open your eyes, because I'm going to ramble for a bit now. These 2 characters are like the major characters, and I get they have the same performer.
That's probably.
But like Kermit and Ralph have shared scenes before. Like when they want to, they can put characters with the same performer together when it's worth it to them.
Yeah.
It's never been worth it to them for whatever reason until this show, apart from maybe 1 or 2 little moments that I just can't think of right now, to actually have Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear even know each other. It's not just that they're 2 of the most major Muppets, major characters in the franchise. They're also the 2 people closest to Kermit the Frog.
Right.
If Fozzie wants to better understand Kermit, then he should know something about Kermit's lifetime partner. And if Piggy wants to know anything about Kermit, she should know anything about Kermit's best friend. And yet, they have been completely alien to each other until this moment, more or less. And I really like what this show is doing. It turns out when you put these 2 characters together and just let the main characters in your franchise share a scene as characters, you can have this really interesting moment in which they each go into the scene with one perspective and come out changed with a different perspective because of each other. And there are interesting emotional beats within that and interesting comedy beats within that. What a scene. What a show.
I agree that I love this scene. I think it's really good. I think there's problems to be had with how Miss Piggy is always treated as being so separate from the other Muppets in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, she certainly has more interaction with, say, Gonzo than Fozzie, probably because of that puppeteer thing.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there is this sense of like Miss Piggy is just such her own thing, separate from the Muppets as like a band of friends.
Right.
It's this weird thing that JD is right. I do really appreciate them trying to do this. And I think that this works without feeling untrue to Fozzie as a character or Piggy as a character. I think that there's a lot of really good things in this scene. I 100% agree. I have nothing to add besides what JD just said. I like this a lot.
I never get one of those out of Becca. Oh, wow.
We did
Let's
it.
stop right now. Becca, it's been very nice knowing you, but we're done right now because I got what I wanted. I'm so happy. Oh, wow.
And then Gonzo says that Steven Tyler looks good, and then the episode ends.
Sure. Well, first, Fozzie has the realization here that being alone, surrounded by stuff, isn't going to keep him warm at Christmas, and he assumes Piggy doesn't want the same for him. I wrote down he thinks Piggy's giving him a warning sign, like Jacob Marley is what I wrote down. But he thanks Piggy and gives her a hug, and that's what he thought he wanted at the beginning and is now giving one to her, and he walks out feeling a lot better about things. And here is where Piggy admits to Deadly she didn't fight for Kermit, and now she's alone at Christmas. But no, you're not. You're alone with Deadly. He offered you a cheese basket.
Also, I don't like Kermit and Piggy's relationship that much.
Oh, no. It's like...
Yeah.
No, it's bad.
I don't think it works as a relationship. I think it works as something to be pursued. I think it very much is like in a classic cartoon like Tom and Jerry, that the pursuit is what matters more than the actual success or failure.
I like the way you put that.
Yes, but I also think that if the Muppets are going to have an arc that goes beyond that, then it still is probably going to be about that thing you were talking about how Miss Piggy is separate. Because we always talk about how the Muppets are a found family kind of a thing, and how like sort of the point of the Muppets is everyone coming together and loving each other, not just despite your differences, but because of your differences. And then there's Miss Piggy, whose very existence completely nullifies that whole understanding of the Muppets. And like the story there then is to have this character who thinks she's better than everyone else actually like start to have some sort of connections to other characters and grapple with that, which they started to do in episode 4 of this show, Pig Out. Anthony Strand's least favorite episode of a Muppet Show, and maybe my favorite episode of a Muppet Show.
Is that the Reese Witherspoon one?
No, I don't like that episode. This is the karaoke bar episode with Ed Helms.
Oh, yes, Ed Helms, yeah. Oh, that's great.
And I like this scene with Piggy and Fozzie, and a lot of what's going on in this episode is such a great example of how this show is trying to figure out, for the first time in the history of this franchise, how to give it a storyline that actually speaks to the message of the franchise in a unifying way. And I love it for that.
I don't have anything to add. That was perfect right there.
Thank you, but I feel like there are a couple more things that happen in the episode.
Yeah, a few things. We're going to skip the whole Yolanda thing we already talked about, so I'm scrolling down here.
We mostly did Yolanda. Just one last thing.
Yeah.
About the Yolanda thing.
Sure.
I, thinking it over, don't actually feel bad for all of those characters who gave up their Christmas presents to give to Yolanda when they would have gone to each other. Because I feel very confident that Mr. Hooper is going to make sure they get their things back.
Oh, beautiful. Once again, Mr. Hooper is going to spend his Hanukkah saving Christmas.
Or if you're a listener to a Prairie Dawn Companion, you can feel pretty confident that Grover is going to buy back their things from Granny Fanny Nesselrode and then give them to the characters.
One of those two things will happen.
It is a much less clean version of the same story. Thank you very much.
That's what Christmas is all about, Yolanda Rat.
But the other thing I want to say is, like, why pay salon prices?
That's right.
But Echo Smith? Anyway, so there's the Yolanda stuff, and then we get the resolution to the Mindy Kaling thing, right?
Yeah, we now have 5 minutes to air. Kermit's relieved to see Fozzie's back in his Santa suit and ready to go. Tells Kermit he called Becky. They had a great conversation. He actually kept it serious. Well, he made one silly face, but she was on the phone, so whatever. Bravo, Fozzie.
Bro, kind of.
I will say bravo to Fozzie just because talking to people can potentially quell a decent chunk of anxiety you might get in your head. I've been trying to teach my kids that those conversations can be scary, but learn to know what the scary ones look like and work with or around that fear. So it's nice to see Fozzie be able to do that here.
Otherwise, you'll have to wait all the way until March.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Oh
Never
no, is there an interesting foil here between Fozzie and Sam?
We got to move past this.
Can we explore that thematically?
In our 5-hour
In your 5-hour podcast, yeah. For now, let's just Fozzie put on his big bear scarf and had that talk. But now Scooter informs us Piggy's having an emotional crisis now, leaving Kermit with no choice but to go check on her, and she appears to have devoured that entire cheese basket.
We just missed the part when Uncle Deadly was like, cheese? And Miss Piggy goes, yeah.
Great. That's a great line. I usually find women love cheese jokes to be tedious.
It should be so bad.
The delivery saves that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kermit tells her Fozzie talked to Becky, and Piggy asks, what if he'd been too proud to make that call? Kermit isn't picking up what she's putting down until she adds, what if she, Becky, had moved on to somebody else, and then he had to just be alone at Christmas? And now Kermit gets it. And like we talked about before, he knows how to talk to Piggy, so he tells her maybe Fozzie and Becky would still be friends, so they wouldn't really be alone. And I'm glad that he handles this better here, because he whiffed with Fozzie earlier, but he makes up for that as he tells her,
there are people all over the world alone, you know? Sitting on their couches all by themselves. Until you come on their TV and make them feel like they have a friend.
I do have an ability to connect even via satellite.
Mm-hmm.
Or cable, or
Yeah.
Hulu.
Yeah.
iTunes, the cloud.
I know.
This is a good show.
But Kermit adds, that's why you were my favorite show long before you were on TV.
Not true.
Not true.
Just factually untrue. They met in episode 1 of The Muppet Show. Sort of. Well, I don't know that that's when they met, but like it seems to be that's when he really noticed her, right? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm assuming things. But like I don't get the impression that they knew each other before they had a TV show. That doesn't feel like it's the story we know.
There was a whole movie about it that's not real.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Oh,
There were two whole movies about it that were not real. I don't know.
They met at the Bogan County. Yeah.
All right, you got me.
Or Lady Holiday's office, or who knows what to believe anymore.
They met in
college.
Or college. They met at college. They were college sweethearts.
They met in Dickensian London.
That's right. They met in or from space. So Piggy admits,
and then he marooned her.
Piggy admits the same about Kermit, and I remember ABC teasing this scene heavily leading up to this episode. Is it time for America's most famous exes to reunite? So I'm sure a lot of people were on the edge of their seat right here, or faking being on the edge of their seat right here. No, they weren't. But
no one by this point, no one was watching. Like, no.
Yeah, no, probably. They're all watching The Voice. But spoiler, no, Kermit and Piggy do not get back together here. I don't think they do at all. I think the official line is they're not together.
There really is no official line right now. I mean,
you're
there
right.
might be, but they're not super consistent with it.
No, they're just tired of people asking them the same question.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, here's when Bobo knocks on the door. Hey, Bobo's in this episode.
30 seconds to air.
30 seconds to air. 30 seconds to air! Run!
But here we go. Piggy and Mindy Kaling's duet of It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year is happening live, and Kermit tells us he's figured out what to do. Says no one should be alone at Christmas. And just as Mindy starts singing her part, all of the other Muppets run into frame to sing with her and drown her out. Brilliant.
It's the happiest season of all.
It's cute.
I know there have been times when the Muppets have used music just to shut somebody up. I can't think of much besides like that moment in Dog City when Rolf has to play us out of a scene because the conversation was stuck in a loop. But this feels very different. Usually one gets the sense that the togetherness of the Muppets is what raises all their voices. But this is the only time I can really recall when they've used the Muppets coming together for a big number as a way to effectively silence someone. It reads as a lot more cynical and not totally on brand for the Muppets, even if it is kind of funny.
Now I feel bad for saying it's kind of cute.
But it is
kind of cute. It is kind of cute.
It is. And they're singing like one of the happiest Christmas songs. It's the happiest season of all. And Mindy Kaling's surprised at first, but she doesn't look like she's thought anything of it. She keeps a smile on her face the whole time. She's a consummate professional, but I think she's also like thrilled to see, hey, everybody's joining us.
To me, it looked like she was a little bothered. I read her as a little bothered, but not being able to do anything about it because she's on camera.
I could still hear her bad singing, though.
Like, this is a weird moment in which the Muppets all come together for a number, and that number is very manipulative in order to manage a difficult person. And it like, there is a strange undertone to it that's a little bit mean, but it is also at the same time sweet. And I think that just kind of captures where this show is. It is kind of the averaging out of the hard edges of this show and the loveliness of this show that believes in all of these characters as people and wants it to be meaningful when they come together. That's all kind of mixed together in this one complicated but lovely moment.
It's a much nicer complicated moment than the Yolanda plot.
It is. Yes.
You know, I think that this episode is telling us what to do. Let's all celebrate right now in the very same way. I'm sure when all of our voices come together over Zoom, this is going to sound beautiful. Here we go. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Beautiful. Let me go get my St. Lucy's crown. The Swedish chef is wearing a St. Lucy's crown.
Like Kirsten, the American Girl.
Yes. And like Stockard Channing in Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree.
Oh, that would have been a better reference. Bobo's in that too.
It sure is.
Sort of.
I think we have reached the point in the episode, in this podcast episode, I mean, that the TV show episode had more viewers than we could possibly have listeners in this moment. I'm so, like, this is great. I love this. However, are we pushing it? Have we gone too silly and too strange and too obscure?
It's kind of how this show goes.
My listenership has never been that good, JD. You're giving me way too much credit with that.
Yeah.
But...
Do you think any of our listenership is that good?
My understanding.
I've seen the numbers.
Is that that was before we put the podcasts on YouTube, Becca. It made a huge bump immediately right out of the gate. I'm not lying. You know,
it's yep.
Okay. Point taken.
Anyway, then it's a commercial break, and then when we come back, we're in Rolf's Tavern with my favorite characters, the three siblings who make up the band Echo Smith.
Yeah, they really did the musical guests dirty on this whole series.
It definitely shows that they were forced to have in every episode a musical guest and a real guest.
Yeah.
And they could figure out what to do with the real guest, but they were always like burdened by the musical guest. Even when they had Dave Grohl and they were like promoting aggressively that he was going to have some sort of drum battle thing with Animal or whatever.
Yeah.
Or jamming with the band or whatever it was. It was
the Imagine Dragons one is like ludicrous. I don't like Imagine Dragons. I like them less than Echo Smith. But like,
yeah,
they're always just like the post credits. And you know what's so funny to me is it shouldn't be that hard to figure out what to do with a musical guest. You know what they should do? They should play a song and maybe sing a song with a Muppet.
I actually really, really like that they're like, oh, we have to have like modern contemporary music acts that would not be interesting to pair with Muppets. Screw them. Stick them in the last few seconds during the credits. Get them out of here.
Not even the whole song. Echo Smith gets more like time with their song than Imagine Dragons did. I think in theirs it was just like coming back from commercial and Imagine Dragons was finishing up their song.
We do get a wrap up in this scene.
We
to
do.
The Sam and Janice plotline.
Yes, he's pouring his heart out to Rolf. Well, first, he says he had a bad experience with a sprig of mistletoe, and Rolf turns that into,
I got into some of that last year and ended up spending Christmas in urgent care. I know dogs aren't supposed to eat it, but it's berries and leaves and just so delicious. You got any on you?
Listen, I don't have a defense for this.
No.
But, like, this episode managed to give lines to Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, Rolf, Scooter, Rizzo, Pepe, Uncle Deadly, Big Mean Carl, Sam the Eagle, Janice, Floyd, Animal, Bobo the Bear. They gave us and a lot for Yolanda and others. Like, they gave us a lot of moments with a lot of our favorite characters because it's good to be together with everyone at Christmas, and I'm glad that Ralph managed to be in the episode, even if he was done about as dirty as Echo Smith.
For real. But here, Janice comes up to Sam on her own here.
I just wanted to say that I saw you hanging out with Chip earlier, and I know he has trouble making friends, so that was totally sweet of you.
And gives Sam a little happy holidays peck on the cheek and walks off. Sam puts a wing to his cheek and simply whispers, God bless Christmas, which, I mean, God bless us everyone was right there, Sam.
Yeah, it's so strange that he doesn't say that.
Because that is the British way, so maybe Sam knows something I don't. But
I don't like this.
No.
Yeah, over time, I have come to, in thinking about over the past few weeks, really not like this scene.
The button on that whole arc was great when Janice walked in between Sam and Chip and lost his moment. I thought it was that's funny. That's a funny way to end the whole mistletoe thing.
I like the idea that, since Becca shared a little bit of her backstory, I'll share a little bit of mine. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I got a really, really big crush on a girl, which is a weird age to do it. So naturally it was not reciprocated because, cooties and such.
Right.
And thinking about how in the world to possibly game things so I could get her attention and win her over. I'm like, I need to become definitively cool. What is cool? And I thought about the essence of cool. And I thought of old jazz men, like Blues Brothers types. And I thought about Elvis Presley and the Greasers in the 50s. I thought about the Fonz. And I changed my identity at 7 to become like that. Leather jacket, shades. I grew out the hair beside my ears so it would hang down and look like sideburns because I wanted those the Fonz or Elvis style sideburns at 7. Did any of this work? No. What did I learn from this? Probably not a lot because I was a very little kid. But ultimately, I did get the idea that if you ever want to have a relationship with somebody, you gotta just be a decent person instead of trying to figure out how to game it. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea in this scene that Sam has been trying to figure out how to game this relationship with Janice, how to just do the right things that'll woo her or trick her or trap her or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead, she completely ignores him at first, except she didn't. She doesn't walk by because she's ignorant. She's just noticing the more important thing happening in the moment. And in the end, I don't know that I can exactly say that she has all the power here, as I feel weird about bringing that into my reading of this scene.
Yeah.
But there is something about how she does end up being true to her values and overriding everything that Sam is doing to leave him with the final note. No, you actually have to treat people well. She, of course, doesn't call him out. There's none of that.
No.
And at some point, that is what you want to happen to Sam. Of course, you want him to be called out for being such a creep. There is an episode in which we learn that he stalked her. He followed her home.
Yeah,
it gets really bad.
It gets worse, folks.
It gets bad.
It's really, really bad, and they needed to address that. But here, nevertheless, we are left with, much like the Yolanda plot, well, everything that you try to do is futile. And yet somehow it also all works out inexplicably, which is almost sort of kind of funny. But here with the added message of you just got to treat people decently. Like, just work on treating anybody decently. And that's going to be the most important thing. And so I kind of like that. However, I don't like a lot of things about this, some of which Becca can speak on better than I can. But I don't like that Chip is really used in this way where he's kind of... It's very patronizing how it's like, oh, good, you talked to Chip. Good for you. You get a reward. That is gross.
It's so patronizing. It once again is making Janice entirely about, like, I guess she is, in theory, we're supposed to be like, well, Janice is a nice person, but it's also, again, entirely about Janice's appearance and Janice's sexuality and the idea that Janice can reward Sam with a kiss. And again, Sam isn't really learning the right lesson here because Sam isn't learning to be an authentically good person. He's learning that he should keep gaming the system because sometimes when you game the system, you get prizes. And that's not what I want. And what Sam needs to learn here, JD, is that you need to be genuinely cool. And being cool means accepting who you are. And I'm green, and that's who I am. So, no, I can't do an Echo Smith joke during a Becca's Gender Corner. But the point is, I said earlier that I feel like there's something that could work out of this. Because it needs to lead to the characters realizing... I mean, I would never have done the stalking joke, but Sam being awkward in this relationship, like, look, we've been there. We've been, JD, you when you were 7, me when I was in college, never quite, like, again, I did not stalk anyone in college. Like, let me be clear. But, like, there were times where I was like, well, what can I do? How can I arrange this situation?
Yeah, same.
So this girl will be in the same room as me at this time. And then maybe I can start to have a conversation. But, like, I learned that wasn't the right way to go about doing things. And Sam doesn't. And there's a relatable thing to it. And you want to see that relatable thing played out in a way that seems smart and intelligent. I think the biggest problem with this is it also just isn't funny.
I think the attempt at humor is in the fact that we learn the lesson because we understand what just happened and why and how it has nothing to do with Sam's plans, but maybe he doesn't. And yet I'm not sure that the no hugging, no learning thing actually makes any of this funny. And it does kind of prevent it from really being sweet or satisfying.
And, again, because I'm trans, I'm in a unique situation where I've been in both of their shoes in a way, never as bad as Sam, but I've been in both of their shoes, and neither of them are acting realistically or understandably or any of these things. I think they needed multiple people who understood this experience a little better for this to work. And again, I think the biggest problem is this show can't quite pin down Janice. And without knowing Janice as a full character, you can't really create anything of meaning, anything that treats this as being substantial. Now, the reason I wasn't paying attention to Sweetums with regards to gender earlier, JD, when you asked about that question, I don't know, 2.5 hours ago, was because the gender thing that I was stuck on, that I remembered finally, was I was wondering, I was appreciating, I guess, that Gonzo seems extremely either trans positive or completely blind to gender when he seems to believe that Sydney Grace Ann Siriata Quising, who at the time was just Sydney Grace Ann Siriata, she hadn't gotten married yet, but he seems to believe that she is Steven Tyler. And I was like, what is the joke here? Am I supposed to believe it's funny that Steven Tyler could become a beautiful woman? Am I supposed to believe that it's funny because it's Steven Tyler who's old and ugly? Or is it the idea that a man could become a beautiful woman. And then I start overthinking it because ultimately it's just that the word Echosmith sounds vaguely like the word Aerosmith, but not even that much like the word Aerosmith because all the vowel sounds are different. But that's where I had my most gender feelings. I want to believe that Gonzo is an ally, but I don't know if how the show wants us to be treating Gonzo, because I'm genuinely not sure how the show wants us to be treating Gonzo at any point in time.
Great points.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Everybody!
Gonzo needs glasses at the end of the day. Maybe that's all it is.
Right, and that's the thing is it's probably just that.
But no, I mean...
Such is my life.
Great tangent. And
such is my life. Such is the curse of being me.
Sure.
And that's why I do all of this on my own podcast, A Prairie Dawn Companion, which...
Yeah.
Will have just wrapped up its first season. I mean, it'll have wrapped up its first season like 2 months before this comes out. But yeah, if you want to hear me do more gender deep dives that are tangentially related to Muppets, but also tangentially related to, like, I don't know.
Yes.
She doesn't know.
I completely don't know.
She doesn't know.
That are also tangentially related to complex emotions about how women are perceived by society writ large, but are also about Muppets. That's a great podcast. Because we're at the end, so I figure it's about, well, we're not quite at plugs yet, but I thought I'd throw that one in.
No, great. I mean, do we have any final thoughts on Single All the Way?
I think Becca and I are going to have to cover that separately in another show.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Thank you both so much. I think 10 years later is one of the earliest checkpoints when I start to wonder, hey, would I still like this? And of course, the Christmas episode was going to be my favorite. That surprises no one. But putting the decoration of it all aside for a bit and focusing on Kermit's statement from the beginning of this when he says, it's also a lot of fun because I get to do it with all my friends. In hindsight, I feel like the rest of this show kind of lost that about Kermit and was trying to recapture that here. Did it succeed? Well, it sure tried.
It's a tightrope because you get too much for it. Like, you need to be the right Echosmith. You need to find the place in between. Because this Echosmith is wrong, but also Cool Kids Echosmith, Kermit being like, you know, I'm green and green people need friends, is wrong too. You need to walk the line in between. And I think there are times where this episode does that beautifully, and there are times where it falters. I think after talking to JD about it, I appreciate this episode more than I did on my initial rewatches. But I still think there's major issues with this show that if the puppetry were any worse, this show would be complete garbage.
I think I kind of agree. Mike, does this episode satisfy the Christmas special itch for you? Like, does it feel Christmassy enough?
It looks Christmassy enough. And I feel like for everything they're trying to cram in here and all of the ongoing plot points from other episodes, both before and after this, that they're trying to continue, this does feel like, hey, this is our Christmas episode. And I feel like even because they're trying to get rosier feelings, it helped remember that, hey, Kermit loves to do this with his friends. So let's show that. And maybe that was part of this turnaround that came about with the whole overhaul of the show that comes after this.
Mike, thank you for letting us just do an episode about the 2015 ABC sitcom The Muppets.
Oh, I have loved recording this podcast with my friends. Thank you so much, pals. This was a delight.
I have loved being here. This was a delight for me too. Thank you so much for having me on. Is this plug time? Do I plug now?
Yeah, well, if people want to follow you work and possibly chat you up about the finer points of licking the salt off Pringles, where should they find you on the internet, JD?
You can find me at toughpigs.com. That's where Becca is too, of course. I'm there writing some articles. I always write one as a gift for Mike's birthday. I am sometimes doing some podcast stuff. You might find an episode of the Great Muppet Fandom Panel in our Muppet Fan Podcasts feed. And also, if you happen to be a fan of classic cartoon shorts featuring such characters as Daffy Duck or Tom and Jerry or Droopy, if you're cool, if you want to be like the cool kids and like Droopy, then
I wish that I could be like the cool kids.
I know, me too.
I wish liking Droopy made me cool, but yeah, go with that.
Me too. Then you can follow my podcast, Stick to Shorts. That's a show I recently started about classic cartoons. Only one season so far, but I think this is coming out right before I should start to have some episodes of season 2 out there when we finally get around to Bugs Bunny, who I strangely saved for season 2.
Nice.
So lots of fun to be had there. I've had Becca on the show and some of our other Tough Pigs pals, among others. So please listen.
Okay, you've kind of had Becca on the show.
I've kind of had Becca on the show.
When is my real debut, JD Hansel?
We'll discuss that in our podcast about the Muppets sitcom.
Beautiful. Okay. Becca, we talked about a Prairie Dawn companion. Anything else you want to plug?
Well, I should say I'm on Tough Pigs, and so is a Prairie Dawn companion. You can find that on the podcast feed Muppet Fan Podcast with toughpigs.com. Best place to find me is, of course, the Tough Pigs Discord, which I moderate, or on Blue Sky at Tall Girl Petunia. I'm posting there less than I used to, but still more than most people. I have my podcast, Prairie Dawn Companion, but I also have my other podcast that's still going, Here Comes Tomorrow, a podcast about Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men from 2001 to 2005 or so, around when the Swedish Chef got his wedding ring.
That's right.
And that's a podcast with the journalist and author Josephine Reisman. We're going through story arc by story arc Grant Morrison's extremely interesting and extremely problematic run on New X-Men, with a couple of amazing guests. We've had so many people, both from the world of comics and from the world of journalism on the show. It's been pretty great. I hear it's even good if you haven't read X-Men, but it is a great excuse to read some weird, influential comics full of interesting ideas and check that out. And I also have a podcast with JD Hansel, where we spend 5 to 6 hours talking about the Muppets 2015.
Becca, we might have to make it 7. Let's be honest.
Okay, well, let's make it 8, because I've got about an hour of more material on Echo Smith I haven't covered yet.
Yes!
Okay, great. Great. I never mentioned my socials. You can find me on Blue Sky or Instagram, I guess, at JD11PC, and Stick to Shorts is at Stick to Shorts.
Y'all, I cannot recommend all of those things enough. Seriously, thank you both for sharing these bits of yourselves with the world. Those links are in the show notes of this episode and or my website at adventcalendar.house. Talk to y'all in a couple of days. We'll see what sprouts up next time. Until then, Rebecca Petunia and JD Hansel, from the middle of a tangled mess of Christmas lights burning my amphibious skin. This is Mike Westfall reminding you to mind the icy patch, especially if you're spending Christmas at your new partner's mother's house. Be careful, Becky. Good night, y'all.
It really is shaped like a human tongue.
It was nice that you shouted out me, Becky, in particular.
Yes. Be careful spending Christmas at your new partner's mother's house.
This has been a presentation of the Retro Network.
Next time on the Advent Calendar House.
Friday at 8, 7 Central, they're coming to ABC, the Cabbage Patch Kids' first Christmas special.